Is dinner time a battleground? Are you tired of making three different meals every night? If you have a picky eater, I know the stress is a real thing. Well, I have incredible news for you. I have written the updated and revised version of my book, Try New Foods: How to Help Picky Eaters Taste, Eat, and Like New Foods. And this is the ultimate guide to transforming meal times with your toddler or even your older child who is still picky. This book is better than ever, and I'm thrilled to announce that it is available to you right now. But before I give you the details on how to grab this little guy, I want to talk with you about what is inside. So, part of why I decided to write this book is that I myself had a picky eater with my very firstborn child. And she was picky kind of earlier than what would have been anticipated. Right around 18 months, she started to get really picky. And when I took her to the pediatricians, we learned that she was not really gaining the weight that she should have been gaining for her age, and it was showing on her growth chart. Now, I have another video for you about toddler growth if you want to check that out, if you're worried about how your toddler is growing. But as a pediatric dietitian, I could look at my child's growth chart and I could see that she was not growing properly. She was not gaining the amount of weight that she needed to be gaining. And so it really sort of rocked my world because, hey, I'm supposed to be the expert in this, although the kind of work that I was doing was more critical care nutrition for children at the time. It was very confronting for me to have a child who wasn't gaining and growing the way she should have been. So I had to navigate all of that for myself. I had to learn more about picky eating. I had to learn about feeding my child. So it wasn't just about, oh, I'm offering the wrong foods. That wasn't it at all. It was our dynamic. And as somebody who works with families on the topic of picky eating and on the topic of extreme picky eating, one of the things I know for sure is that the interaction that you're having with your child definitely plays a role. And so, one of the things I do, and what I have included in this book, is to make sure that not only do you know about the right foods for your child growing up, whether they're a 3-year-old or a 13-year-old, but also that you understand the feeding interactions that help your child eat. And not only that, understanding the feeding interactions that might be happening that shut your child down from eating. My philosophy is positive exposure to new foods and zero pressure. And what I find families do is that they don't expose enough to new foods and they put tons of pressure on their child. And so this book actually is a workbook. It helps you work through some of these interactions, some of these eating habits that your child may have developed, some of the accommodations that you have made for your child over the years that have kept your child stuck. So here's the thing about the second edition. My first edition was very similar looking to this, but a dark green cover. This second edition is a yellow cover. But more importantly, I listened to your feedback. I read all your reviews on Amazon. I understand where you might have been confused on certain things, and I've addressed that. Plus, I've updated you on more of the research that's come out over the last 6 years, because the first edition was written in 2019. So I've updated you on sort of the philosophy and the approaches that are being used now. I've also updated you on what we know about extreme picky eating and even ARFID, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. So you have a better sense and a better ability through using this book to really identify what is going on with your child. Because when you identify exactly what's going on, it informs how you're going to interact with your child and the types of approaches, therapeutic approaches, you'll want to use with them. So, one of the updates that you'll find in this new version or second edition of Try New Food is more sensory information. So, helping you understand how your child is really processing food through their senses. And if you have a child with sensory integration challenges, if you have a child who is very put off by certain foods, I actually give you a step by step plan on how to help them overcome those sensitivities through food exposure, through food chaining. The other thing that we talk a lot about is bridging foods and how to offer new foods that maybe your child's never tasted before. Maybe they've seen them, but they have no interest in trying them. I've added information on how to take your child from where they are right now, maybe it's chicken nuggets, and how you get them to perhaps rotisserie chicken or a chicken drumstick. So the step by step process from one point where your child's at right now to where you want them to be. Again, this is a workbook format, so there's lots of opportunity for you to write down your thoughts. I ask you questions. I ask you to look back on the history of your child's eating. I ask you to reflect on your own childhood and how you were raised with food and how that might be showing up in how you parent your own child around food. I also ask you things about medical history, sleep adequacy and quality, your own history with picky eating, or perhaps your partner's history with picky eating. We dive into lots of these things in this book because guess what? At the end of the day, it's not just about getting your child to eat this vegetable or try that new food. It's a much bigger thing. And when you embrace that it's a much bigger thing, and that's what I help you do through all the chapters of this book, when you embrace the bigger context of what picky eating is or what extreme picky eating is and what kind of anxiety or stress your child might be feeling or experiencing, then once you have that full concept in your head, then you'll be able to really make some progress with your child. Remember, picky eating is a spectrum. It's developmentally normal for lots of toddlers, and it is also more of a problem, more of a challenge for some of the kids who've gone beyond that developmental stage. So your 8-year-olds, your 9, your 10, 11-year-olds. And not only is it more of a challenge for that child, it often can be more of a challenge for the whole family. So when I hear and see families completely accommodating one child in the family because that child is choosy or selective or picky, that whole family dynamic may need some work as well. Again, I have that addressed in this book. So let me give you one quick tip that you can put into play with your child who might be picky, selective, choosy, or extremely picky. One of the things I teach families to do in this book is to deconstruct your entrees. So, what does that mean? Say you're serving spaghetti and meatballs, for example. Well, deconstructed spaghetti and meatballs is plain noodles, pasta sauce, meatballs, all separated. And you let your child build their entree. Maybe they have the meatballs and the pasta, but they leave the sauce off. That's perfectly okay. The point of deconstructing an entree is to allow your child to have the autonomy to put that food together in a way that makes them feel most comfortable. Because at the end of the day, when they can be in charge of a little bit of this process, you're going to get a more compliant child who is more open to trying new foods. So, the second edition of Try New Food is more comprehensive, more actionable, and more supportive than ever before. It's the only resource you need to bring joy back to your dinner table and to help your child overcome their pickiness with new foods. So, the good news is you can grab your copy right now. It's available on Amazon. I'll put a direct link to purchase it in the description box below. And if you're ready to say goodbye to picky eating and mealtime stress, make sure you click that link. And don't forget to like this video, make a comment below, and continue to follow me here. I'll see you next time.